Hi everyone, welcome back to another warm afternoon in our virtual home, a space where our minds find grace and liberation with another enriching dialogue, our exclusive Jakpost UpClose, the Jakarta-Post webinar. If you are new, thank you for joining and welcome to the Jakarta-Post virtual home. We are so pleased to have you here and most importantly, your voice is heard. Marking our 45th episode on this special Thursday, today's conversation could not have been as enlivening as anticipated without a distinct honor and privilege of being joined by four pivotal figures who have granted the time to guide us with their light. These are noble individuals whose influence have reverberated across Indonesia's journey in enhancing access to adequate and safe drinking water for us all. Hello there, I'm Karina Dwi Payana, airing live from Jakarta. It truly brings me deep pleasure and joy to serve as your host for the next hour or so. Now, we can all agree that a way of life, a way of being, is the power of water. Not only water is essential to the 71% life on Earth, but it is also the becoming health of humans, us, and yourself. Therefore, we can apply Descartes' philosophy to where water lives, therefore I am. And unfortunately, the International Atomic Energy Agency discovered that Earth only holds 2.5% of fresh water today, and less than 1% of this fresh water is available for ecosystems and us humans. To borrow a phrase from Professor Sahit Teguh Widodo, water is a cultural mantra that produces various forms of culture, enabling us to translate values, knowledge, and our collective view towards water. Our country, Indonesia, of such rich resources, should not lack abundant mineral resources, whether that be cases occurring in reservoir, rivers, pollution of these resources, 70% as the National Development Planning Agency Bappenas reported. And in various regions, these minerals resources are very expensive to obtain. And throughout human history, many forms of civilizations have found to be closely related to the existence of water. Hence, the human ability, our ability to manage water gives birth to a high civilization. So what does this mean for us? In conjunction with Indonesia's Vision 2045 to host the 10th World Water Forum in May 2024, our esteemed guests here, with their experience, wisdom, achievement, and insights to be shared, promise an enlightening session on just that for us all. Without further ado, let us dive into it. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Now, on behalf of Mr. Heri Trisaputra Zuna, Director of Infrastructure Financing, the Ministry of Public Works and Public Housing, or as we know, PUPR, who unfortunately cannot make it today, worry not, because I am delighted to present our first special guest, Mrs. Mika Kencana Wulan Marta Wijaja, who represents as the Master of Development Management, Director of Settlement, Infrastructure Financing, Implementation from PUPR. Mrs. Mika here, submerged in a plethora of reputable experiences as a graduate of Tahap Persiapan Bersama in Environment Engineering, Mrs. Mika is one of the main driving proponents and advocates water accessibility as a basic human right. This is in accordance with the 1945 Constitution Principles of Natural Resources Management established in 2013. Moreover, she is a co-author of this year's vital publication on improving access to safely managed drinking water services recommendation for G20 emerging economies, published by Policy Commons. Wonderful. Let us give her a round of applause and welcome Ms. Mika into the light.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Now, continuing our line of special guests today, please meet the President Director of PT Air Bersih Jakarta, or its abbreviation ABJ, a subsidiary of PT Moya Indonesia, who is no other than Mr. Elbano Rangkuti. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me here.
Of course, it's our pleasure. Now, a graduate from one of Indonesia's proudest universities, University of Indonesia, Mr. Bano also serves as the head of strategic planning at PT Bakri Indo Infrastructure, and as an integrated project with Pemuda Air Minum Jaya, or PAMJaya, he has contributed to ABJ's key milestone just this February by securing an 8.8 trillion credit facility to accelerate 350,000 new pipe water connections in Jakarta. We are very grateful for your presence, Mr. Bano. Welcome. Now, allow me to also introduce an ideal thread leading to our next special speaker, the Technical Director of Perumda Air Minum Jaya, which translates the Jakarta Drinking Water Company. Let us welcome Untung Suryadi. Thank you for being here. How are you feeling today? You good? Good. Amazing. Now, on behalf of Mr. Arif Nasruddin, the President Director of Pamjaya, whose not only birthday was just last weekend, let us all wish a virtual happy belated birthday to Mr. Arif. Now, Mr. Untung here, with a remarkable experience of 7 years in Pamjaya, he has an experience of being a Director General of working with the utilities industry, skilled in business process, negotiation, business planning, management, and account management. Strong business development professional with a certified business management focus in financial management from Prasetya Mulia Business School. And one of his latest publications entails a focus group discussion for analysis model policy, cooperation government, and private for infrastructure development of water supply by the Indonesian Institute of Science, or LPI, Economic Research Center, Jakarta, on 2013. It is a true honor, Mr. Untung, for being here. Thank you so much for your time. Amazing. So welcome to our studio, everyone. Welcome to our virtual home. I can already feel the excitement, the excitement and curiosity coloring the room to hear what our special speakers have to say. And lucky for lovely audiences in Zoom or YouTube whose presence brings us joy, I would like to send a friendly reminder to send your questions through the Q&A box. And please do state who you're addressing these questions to. Also, you might as well receive a free certificate of participation. How are we going to get it? Follow more and stay tuned. Now let's get on to our first session, okay? Right, so on to our first discussion. We might want to diverge our wonder through a local aspect as our citizens question the government's work plan in the upcoming years to echo the 6th SDG of clean water and sanitation. Lucky for us, as a Director of Settlement Infrastructure Financing Implementation from PUPR, Mrs. Miki Kencana Wulan here is a noble advocator in highlighting the subject of the 6 basic principles of natural resources management in tandem with water accessibility. Mrs. Mika, how are you doing today?
Thank you, I'm fine.
You're fine? Are we excited?
Yes.
Yes. Lovely. Now, thank you so much for contributing your time, for being here with us today. We deeply appreciate it. And audiences, let us get ready for her captivating discussion that will voice our government stance in exploring the essence of our nation's water strait. Ready whenever you are, Mrs. Mika.
Okay. Thank you, Karina.
You're welcome.
I have this one. Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank the Jakarta-Post for having us, inviting us to this webinar. And in this first session of this webinar, I'd like to start with the presentations with our common understanding about the water. Yeah, water is, like you mentioned earlier, that it's basic needs. That is then the government is mandatory to make sure that the community or the people get the proper water supply. Yes. Yeah, for the daily life. Yeah, okay. So globally, the water target is already stipulated on SDGs number 6, and this is also our commitment for global target, then that it is later it is also mandated in the middle terms planning of Indonesian national development, and then nevertheless globally, we also facing the 2 major challenges, especially in terms of financing. Yeah. So aside of the technical issues, we also have the challenges on financing when it's common happen in the countries, especially in the developing countries that the financing for water supply development is still not yet adequate for the coverage to be met for the populations. Yeah, and then aside of that, we also facing the climate change and then the disasters. Yeah, that suppressing the effort of the government to accelerate the water supply to the community. Yeah, like flood and then drought. Yeah, and then also the domestic waste contamination and so on. Yeah, so this is with these situations, definitely it will increase the investment required for the development of the water infrastructure. Yeah. So in terms of Indonesia, yeah, we can see here on the graphics that Indonesia among ASEAN countries is still on the lowest rank, yeah, for the water supply coverage. Yeah. Yeah. Also, we have to consider that we have thousands of islands. Yeah, and then also number of population is quite big also. Yeah, but this is not mean that this doesn't mean that we do nothing. Yeah, we do everything. Yeah, to increase all the coverage, but then what we are doing now, yeah, we've been doing for the water supply coverage increase, is not yet cope with population growth. Yeah, so we have to do something radical or fundamental to accelerate the water supply coverage. Yeah, and this also contribute to the stunting prevalence. Yeah, so that's why we have to do something in terms of the water supply provisions. Yeah. For the Indonesia National Development Midterm Planning, yeah, there is stipulated that if you see that the target, yeah, for the piping drinking water access, it's 30%. Yeah, it seems quite low. Yeah, but we have to consider the current situations that Indonesia's, like in the previous slide, that is now the coverage is 20%. Yeah, 20 or 25, 21%. So it's only 10%, but it is. We have to consider that. Considering the current situation, 20%, and the annual increase, average, it's not more than 2%. So it's quite challenging to come up with this target. But then we have to do something for this. Yeah, that's in terms of coverage level. In terms of financial aspect, yeah, if we see the graphic, we can see that the source of financing, yeah, comes from national budget, yeah, local government budget, and others. Then in these others, yeah, so many alternative financing we can come up. Yeah, we can formulate so many alternative financing to complement or to complete the needs for the national target 2024. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. One way to invite or to one way of the others portions. Yeah, that's alternative financing. Yeah, we come up with PPP scheme. Yeah, public-private partnership. Yeah, so before we go to the financing issues, yeah, for the sector itself, the water and sanitation, we have already some regulations like Law Number 7/2019, yeah, and then also the government regulations for water resources, for water supply, as well as for the sanitations. Yeah, in terms of public-private partnership, we also have already regulations, yeah, like presidential regulations number 38 about public-private partnership in general, and then regulation, ministerial regulations from National Development Planning or Bappenas that regarding the procedures for implementing PPP in infrastructure as still in general, and as well as ministerial regulation from Public Works and Housing, specific for the infrastructure related to public works. Yeah. And another, aside of that, we also have the presidential regulations for government guarantee in PPP project. Yeah. These regulations, the government provide this regulation to make sure, to ensure that we have a good climate of investment. Yeah. So the investor feel comfortable to join in, to participate in the development of water infrastructures. Yeah. So, and with this PPP scheme, we also share the risk and the task in the long-term cooperations, that hoping that we can fill the gap of the financing requirement. Yeah. Aside of regulations and also other facilities, we also come up with some initiatives that hopefully are in order to address some situations that usually come up with the PPP project. Yeah. There are 6 initiatives that we promote now. One is establishing the Indonesia Water Fund, that with this fund, hopefully we can accelerate the process of reinvestment. Yeah. This Indonesia Water Fund is with PT Dana Reksa. Yeah. And then improving the creditworthiness of the water operators. Yeah. With this improvement, creditworthiness, we promote the operator to have the self-assessment for the creditworthiness and the capability to get the loan from banking. Yeah. And then also definitely the approach in PPP scheme. Yeah. Like the also introducing the strong government involvement in all the process, in the stage of process, and also the availability payment, and also we introduce the source to taps approach. Yeah. And then also we another initiative is the modernization in irrigations. It's in the water sectors, not specifically in the water supply. And then the standardization of water pricing policy for affordable and sustainable water services. Yeah. This hopefully address the situations that come up with tariff, yeah, in the customers. The last but not least is the source to tap approach in water supply, that we hope that with this approach we can address the situation that some projects that experience the lag between upstream and downstreams. Yeah. And in these occasions, I'd like also to share with you, yeah, like you mentioned earlier about the World Water Forum in 2024. Yeah, there are 6 sub-teams that will be bring up there in the 2024. Yeah. One of them is definitely the sustainable water finance. Yeah, other than water security, water for humans and nature, disaster risk reduction, hydro diplomacy and knowledge and innovations. That it is relevant with our topics today, the sustainable water finance. Then hopefully what we get today can also enrich the discussion during the World Water Forum next year in Bali on May. I think that's all. for me so far, yeah.
Yeah.
And we can more in detail on the discussion. Thank you, Karina.
Thank you so much. How insightful. Thank you so much, Bhumika, for your wonderful illustration on how the government will tackle challenges of ensuring equal access and adequate water drinking for all. Since you mentioned the 6 initiatives and the 6 sub-themes, especially since Indonesia is gearing up as the host for next year's World Water Forum. Yes, amazing. Thank you so much. Now, not only learning from Mrs. Mika's presentation, not only we are now alarmed how only 20.6% of pipe drinking water is available in Indonesia, yes, which is lower than other ASEAN countries. This echoes also a reading published by Bappenas that only 6.8% of households meet this SDG 6 criteria because, as Ibumika's mentioned, water for shared prosperity, as she has mentioned, is our next mission, the theme for the 10th Water World Forum. Now, in order to achieve our SDG 6.1 for 2030 and achieving universal and equitable access to safe and affordable water for all, Mrs. Mika right here has so gracefully highlighted how the state must fulfill the people's right to water. Therefore, the necessity to formulate policies that can increase investment interest, in which PUPERA has very done so, is expected to reduce the level of non-revenue to ensure the sustainability of infrastructures that have been built. Now, presented in the graphs we've just seen from Ibumika, with PUPERA's hopeful water sector regulation, Mrs. Mika urged action from the regional forces as responsible for providing access to drinking water for the community to increase their commitment. This can also be done by integrating national drinking water supply targets, and with full pride, we can see and therefore say that change is already happening. We have to do something, yes. Fantastic point, Mrs. Mika. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you, Karina.
You're welcome. Thank you. Now, just before we ignite our resilience further into our next special guest, for our fellow audiences online, please don't forget to fill in our survey form attached to the chat box, and you might as well want to, as you will be rewarded with a certificate of participation in your email after this webinar. And remember, find comfort in curiosity, and send us your brilliant questions to our Q&A box in Zoom or YouTube while stating the person you're addressing to. How exciting this is! Well, stay tuned to discover more. Now let's get on with session 2. So as we talk about change taken to action, as Ibu Mika has mentioned, paving such lead is also thanks to PT Air Bersih Jakarta, or its abbreviation ABJ, a subsidiary of PT Moya Indonesia, who envisions pipe water access to become the solution to stop groundwater usage from the further sinking of Jakarta. But what is the true journey that will promise such aspiration becoming collective hope of our nation? President Director of PT Air Bersih Jakarta here, Mr. Bano Rangkuti, will reiterate generously for us on the previously mentioned PUPR's note in strengthening infrastructure to support economic development and major services, such as his contribution in granting the 350,000 pipe water and beyond just this February. Amazing. Mr. Bano, we greatly appreciate you for being here.
Thank you for having me here.
Of course, our pleasure. How are you feeling today?
Very good, yourself?
Very good. And as we've talked about before, not only this is a part of your job, but you fell in love with water as soon as you dived into the water and oceans. So whenever you're ready, the floor is yours.
Great. Thank you very much, Karina. Thank you, Bhumika, for the presentation. Very enlightening. And unfortunately, you took some slides away from me. However, first of all, ladies and gentlemen, everyone, Karina, Bhumika, and Pak Untung, on this session here, we'll be discussing about the sustainability of the water, not just only the production side, but also the whole water supply system as a whole. Yeah. So we look at it from a holistic point of view. Now, before we go into that, just a slight explanation in terms of this water supply system itself. When we talked about the water supply, we're talking about water being sourced from a water dam, Bhumika, or a water spring, and therefore that's why we call it sustainable, not from groundwater. And then it is treated in a water treatment plant or a production facility, and then distributed to the customers.
Right.
Now, when we have the numbers here on the screen, we're talking about in Indonesia itself, in total, there's a total capacity of 230,000 liters per second for the production facility. Now, out of the 230,000 liters per second, fortunately enough, Moya Group represents 31,500 liters per second of that, or being 14% of the total capacity in Indonesia.
Yeah.
Now, with that 230,000 liters per second of capacity, it's being connected to the population. Here on the slide it says 15 million housing connections, which translate to about 90 million people.
Right.
Now, talking about these numbers and figures, people will be asking, so what does this all mean?
Yeah.
So here on the next slide, we have the translation of the previous slide, being that the 90,000 people being connected right now, out of the total 270,000 people, represents only 30% of the population being able to access clean water through the pipe. Now, as Ibu Mingko also previously explained, in comparison to our closest neighbors, even compared to Vietnam and Philippines, we're still below. And the main target from the government is to significantly improve the access of clean water to the population, being a target of 30% right now to become 100%. Something not that easy if we talk and see it like that.
Yeah.
But if you want to have a change, then the way you work also has to change. Now, the coverage is currently 28% or 30%, and going to a 100%, I will say, is not impossible. It is achievable, and how we do it, we'll discuss during the next slides. Now, a bit about Moya itself. When we talked about 31,500, we're currently exposed or operating the facilities mainly in the Greater Jakarta, in Java, and also in Batam. However, we're still very keen to assist the government, PUPR, in order to be able to increase the coverage in Indonesia, meaning that we are not just going to focus in Java or in Sumatra, but anywhere there's a chance, together with PUPR and the government, to increase the access of clean water, we'll be more than happy to participate. Now, here we talk about the challenges, opportunities, and the strategic issues on the water supply system. With such challenges and little opportunities, I don't mean to scare anyone here. It's just trying to detail what the challenges are and how we need to face it in order to be able to achieve the goal that we all want to go. So when we talk about the population growth, the growth of Indonesia keeps on increasing. When I think we were in school back then, it was like, we memorized it was 180 million. Then it became 220, 250, and now it's 270. Now, when we talk about the increase in population, if there's nothing done in the water sector, then less and less people will be served by the clean water. So when you talk about we can't just stay still, even though if we walk, we'll still be left behind because others are running. So that's what we need to do in order to be able to achieve the 100% connections to the whole of Jakarta. And the main issue here is that whilst the citizens or the population cannot connect to access water, then in other terms, they're automatically extracting groundwater. Now, when you extract groundwater, then we're talking about, first of all, hygienity of the water being subtracted and consumed or being used. And second is that it relates significantly to the land subsidence. Specifically in Jakarta, Pak Untung, there's been so many studies being conducted. Some studies say that per annum, the land subsidence is 3 to 10 centimeters. That's per annum. or it can even reach up to 18 centimeters, which is very concerning. And for that, there's so many opportunities for everyone here to be able to assist in the government and even in, with the PDAMs to increase the coverage and therefore reduce the land subsidence, and therefore will be able to increase the sustainability of the water business. Now here, that was part of the challenges and opportunities, and directly we talk about the strategic issues that we need to face. Now with the raw water, let's say not limitations but scarcity at this point of time, POPR is now developing so many new dams and so forth to be able to increase the water supply. But for that, the operators or the producers, be it the PDAMs or the private entities, need to ensure that the operations are in an efficient and effective manner. Why so? One of the reasons is that because when we extract the water or take the water from the water source, not 100% can be distributed because there's production losses. Now the main aim is then to reduce as much water loss as possible so that more water can be distributed to the customers. And therefore the sustainability issue will then be continuous and increase time by time. And the most important thing is we keep on talking about customers not being connected because of the limitations of raw water, the limitations of infrastructure. But here we also need the population's awareness to also connect and use the piped water, because in some instances that we see, despite having piped water in front of their houses, they're still extracting groundwater. And I think this in a whole would improve the water supply system in Indonesia in order to be able to improve not just the water sector, but I believe would also improve the community and also the economy of such areas that is being covered. Now following on to the next slide. We've been talking about how to improve the challenges, the opportunities, and the strategic issues. Now the question is, has there been any action on that? Has there been any activities in order to improve the service coverage ratio? The answer is, Karina, yes. For one example is Jakarta. Jakarta currently is covering 65% of its population through access pipe water. So there's another 35% that needs to be supplied to. Now with that, fortunately under the PUPR, there's additional water coming in from the eastern side and the western side of Jakarta, from Jatilur and from Karian. Now with that, the aim from Pamjaya is to increase the coverage from 65% to 100%. So the whole population of Jakarta should be or will be serviced by pipe water within the next 6 years. Very fast. 100% in 6 years. Now, there's so many people talking about this project, so many opinions. Some say that this is unachievable, impossible. Some say this is very aggressive. And even a number of people say this is crazy. But there's a quote from this very well-known person saying that the people crazy enough to change the world are actually the ones who do. I'm not referring to us being the crazy people, but basically if you want change, then we have to make change. And this is one way to improve Jakarta's coverage from 65 to 100%. And hopefully this can also be an example for all the other areas, all the regions in Indonesia, that yes, it sounds crazy, but it can be done. That's just a bit highlight of the Jakarta project. an easy part. Now, for the detailed explanation of this, I will hand it over later on the next session to Pak Untung. So my part is done here, Pak Untung. Yeah? So you'll continue in terms of the details. And last but not least, when we talk about sustainability itself, it's like people say sustainability here, sustainability there, and expecting that someone else will be doing it. While here in our group, we're already thinking of and executing the sustainability of our business. And it's not just a simple task. You have to be dedicated and have to have a special task force to do so, and focus on the management of the environmental and social governance. And therefore, you'll be able to make innovations and continue in improving the water system, like such as previously mentioned, the reductions in losses so that more water can be distributed to the customers. And therefore, if we can be able to do that, then we'll be able to save the environment with less groundwater extraction, and with providing the water, clean water, through pipelines to the community. And therefore, the expectation is that the economy will improve and the well-being of the community located near the water treatment plants or being serviced by the pipeline will improve also. Now, that we've done and we can do, and hopefully if we can do that, everyone else can do that. And once everyone is on the same focus, everyone is willing to increase and improve the water system, then hopefully improving to 100% coverage is achievable. It's not crazy, it's achievable. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Incredible. Thank you once again, Mr. Bano, for helping us understand water through the perspective of the production lens. And as you mentioned, it sounds crazy.
It sounds crazy.
But it's achievable.
It's achievable, right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I resonate with that quote as well now. Thank you. Now, you have also delicately undo Moya's sustainable water supply system that dreams to bring 15 million housing connections, where 30% of accessible pipe water will finally reach the 273.5 million population by next year. Your presentation also supports the fifth key of the 2024 government work plan that I have read, in which aim to distribute project of pipe water to 10 million households. And with your surpassing 5 million of the initial plan, you should be very proud.
We are.
You're very humble. Now, in light of your findings, not only your company implemented the targeted health standard for the citizens' water lifestyle to be reached, but as you've mentioned, the challenges, opportunities, strategic issues being tackled in the water supply system actually brings harmony in the sixth step that you've mentioned as well. Now, the harmony is nothing less than the bundling project with PUPR and Pamjaya, bringing us closer to the city's tap water coverage from 65% to 100% sufficiency by 2030. As he mentioned as well, 6 years is not long at all. It's not long at all. Now, with Jakarta sinking by an average of 12 to 18 centimeters every year due to the overuse of groundwater, Mr. Bano's evaluation on the sixth operational process of sustainability also brings us toward a journey that actualizes changes to our becoming reality. This is no less than revitalizing the basic human rights of accessing water by integrating business entities. Thank you so very much once again, Mr. Bano.
Thank you.
It's been an amazing session. Like, we're all feeling great, aren't we, today?
Very.
Very hopeful too. Now, before moving on to our next special guest, please do sit back and hold on to your enthusiasm, because here are a few words from today's sponsor, Moya Indonesia. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you're still with us on this leaping acceleration as we have now familiarized ourselves with the overview comprehension on Indonesia's water state and the mission to be obtained. Don't forget, you still have the chance to win your certificate of participation by filling in our survey attached on the chat box, whether you're in Zoom or on YouTube. And impress us with your mind-tickling questions while stating who you're addressing them to. Now, I would also like to have a brief introduction that our other speaker, special guest, Mr. Habib, is right here. Thank you so much for taking your time all the way from Bandung.
No, thank you for having me.
No, it's our pleasure with all the other guests here. Thank you so much. Now, our minds have now visually emerged into the promise of the water supply system and governmental plans to ensure water security, provided by Mrs. Mika and Mr. Bano, our previous panelists, impelling our nation forward to become the host of next year's World Water Forum in May 2024. Now, upon gaining a preliminary understanding of this as we have done so, it is paramount to also become aware of the outcome from this production and in what ways the procedure can be translated to regions across Indonesia. This starts by acknowledging the distribution of clean water in Jakarta, which will be enlightened by the very technical director of Perumda Air Minum Jaya, or PAM, Mr. Untung Suryadi, who is renowned for his indelible rewards over the years, such as Innovation Leadership, Achievement Award from ITB, the Best Employee Performance, the Platinum Sales Award, and more. Once again, congratulations for all your recognitions, and thank you so much for being here. How are you feeling?
Very good.
Very good. Thank you so much. Now, we can't hardly wait to hear you and your company's plan and solution. So, whenever you're ready, you're more than welcome to start. Thank you.
Okay. Is that next one?
Water plays a vital role in eradicating social inequality and promoting civilization. Piped water is the connecting link for citizens of Jakarta to a modern and quality life. At Pamjaya, we channel water as though we are channeling happiness. Happiness that leads us to finding meaning and purposes, which is by presenting water sovereignty for all citizens of Jakarta through increasing the service coverage up to 100% by 2030. For a century, Pamjaya has encouraged civilization through the supply of piped drinking water harmonious with quality, quantity, and continuity, which is oriented to the customer satisfaction. In 1843, to meet the water needs of the city of Jakarta, or Batavia, the Dutch East Indies government provided clean water from drilled or artesian wells. On December 23, 1922, for the first time, water originating from Ciburial, Bogor, was channeled to the city of Batavia, or Jakarta. This day became the anniversary of Pamjaya. On February 1998, the full operation of drinking water services in business areas was carried out by two private partners. February 1, 2023, Pamjaya returned to providing complete piped water services in DKI Jakarta. Up to 81% of raw water sources in DKI Jakarta are obtained from Jatiluhur Dam, 14% from Tangerang, and 5% from rivers or surface water in the city. Water is then processed through the Pamjaya Water Treatment Plant, or WTP, or IPA in Indonesian, with a total capacity of 20,752 liters per second. Water that is treated at the IPA, owned by Pamjaya, is then piped to more than 900,000 customers, or equivalent to 66% of service coverage. limitations pose as a challenge, and we respond with accelerated service programs such as communal reservoirs. Communal reservoirs are an innovation in piped water services through the construction of storage tanks accompanied by pumps to serve residents in low supply areas. Going forward, Pamjaya will build numerous communal reservoirs to serve low supplies areas remotely located from the Pamjaya Water Treatment Plant, or WTP. Pamjaya keeps innovating to improve services for Jakarta residents in various aspects. Pamjaya continues to strive along with the growth of Jakarta as a global city. Pamjaya plans to develop SPAM to achieve a 100% increase in service coverage by 2030. All of us at Pamjaya believe that water connects everyone to the future. Thus, water connects us to the meaning of life.
Okay, thank you Harina, Bu Mika, Pak Pano, and Pak Habib. This session I represent for operator. Bu Mika already explained about the policy. Pak Pano already explained about the private participant for in water supply. Now, Pamjaya is operator water supply in Jakarta. We are owned by DKI government. This is our vision. I thought we can see in our website, and our value, we mentioned the prima, professional, respect, integrity, self and mandate. And I jump to where the water come from, supply to Jakarta. Actually, now mostly water come from Jatiluhur, Dam Jatiluhur, 81%, and 14% come from Tangerang, Banten, and the rest 5% supplied by the river in Jakarta. We also serve in the island that I mentioned before. We mentioned a mainland, and we also serve for the island, Thousand Island. We have 8 water treatment plant, seawater reverse osmosis, and we serve more than 5,000 customer spread on all and 8 island. This is our condition now. As mentioned, Pak Bano, that's our coverage service now is 65%. Our customer now almost 1 million. Our production capacity now 20,700 liter per second, or 1.8 million per day in meter cubic. And we operate the pipe of length 12,000 kilometers, and the challenging now, our non-revenue water still high, more than 45%. How Pamjaya and to fulfill the target, SDGs also target from the government to achieve 100% coverage service in 2030 that Pak Banu mentioned. Challenging but achievable. One of the strategy after we finish our cooperation agreement with the last partner, after we did the international bidding, now we already have a the new partner to fulfill how to fulfill the coverage service in 100% in 2030. That's the challenging target we have to fulfill in 6 years. As I mentioned before, that our customer now already almost 1 million, and we have to add 1 million again. After 1 million achieved during almost 100 years, but we have to achieve 1 million in the 6 years. That's very, very challenging. And we have to add our production capacity half now. That's why we have to add almost more than 10,000 liters per second. Now our pipeline already 12,000, and we have to add around 607,000 kilometers again. So apologize to the community, maybe in the next 6 years, maybe there is a disruption in the road and the street in Jakarta, because a lot of pipe we have to install. That I mentioned before, that during 25 years, before 1st February 23, we have a cooperation with the two partner Palija and Aitra, and starting for the 1st of February 23, all the operation customer service run by Pamjaya. That's why, and we start with the transition, because the KPK mentioned that the recommendation we have to form the transition team during 6 months. That's why start from the January until July, we start the transition between operation from our partner to fully operate by Pamjaya. And starting January 2003, we start operate by Pamjaya itself. What is different between the last cooperation agreement with the now the existing cooperation agreement, and the last cooperation agreement from end to end, from production until the collection customer service, handled by our partner. But after the 2nd of February, we have a cooperation agreement, but only in the water treatment plant. So in the customer service customer session side, all handled by Pamjaya. Okay. This is the existing and our planning supply for Jakarta, how to fulfill 100% coverage service. We can see, and for the blue box, it's explain about our existing capacity, 20,000 liters per second. And for the green, this is the planning for SPAM regional, or water supply system regional. This is supported by Ministry PUPR. There is Jatiluhur SPAM, Karian Serpong SPAM, and also Juanda. For the brown, this is the planning for water treatment plant owned by DKI. This is Puaran 3, Pesanggerahan, Hutan Kota, Ciliwung, and also the SPAM Komunal. This is the location that I mentioned before, that now in progress, Jatiluhur, SPAM Jatiluhur, that the water come from the east, the Karian Serpong come from west, Ciliwung now in the tender process, Pesanggerahan now in the construction process. Buaran 3 now also in construction process. Juanda still in the process for the cooperation agreement between PUPR and the 3. This is explain about the regional spam that I mentioned before. From west, we will get the water from the spam Karian, the capacity 3,200 liter per second, and from east, Jatiluhur with the capacity 4,000 liter per second. In the past, our cooperation agreement, Jakarta divided by two sides, east and west, divided by the Ciliwung River. That's why there is the border valve between supply from west or from east. But now, since the 1st February 2030, all operate by Pamjaya, so we can mix all the water from west and east as a part of the integrated supply in Jakarta. This is the planning for the Pesanggerahan that now in the construction process by Pamjaya itself. The capacity 750 liter per section and will serve 65,000 customer. The Ciliwung also now in the bidding process. The capacity 2,000 liter per second will serve around 15,000 customer. That I mentioned before that we already have the new partner, Air Bersih Jakarta, that we call now the cooperation agreement as a bundling project. Why we call the bundling? Because the bundling is a combination between how we optimize our asset existing to finance for the new asset. This target for this cooperation will add 1 million customer, and with the pipeline 7,000, and with the capex 23.9 trillion. Okay. Another innovation that Pamjaya now doing, but how to fulfill the demand water from the customer, because we cannot wait the water from the Jatiluhur, we cannot wait water from the Karian or Buaran 3. That's why we optimize the existing supply. But we know that in the end of the network, mostly the supply is very low. That's why we built more than 10 communal reservoir. We fill the reservoir in the night, but in the morning customer can use, because mostly in the peak hour customer use the water is in the same time. In the morning, the peak hour is between 4 until 10 o'clock. That's why in the night we have to fill our reservoir, and that's why in the morning customer can use. That's how the reservoir communal is work. Now we have one single number for the contact center and celebrate in the Monas. So you can call to Pamjaya with in the number of the lapor pump. Thank you, Karina.
So much. Wonderful and outstanding accomplishments. This is very good, Mr. Untung. Yeah? Thank you for your enriching presentation, as you have also showcased how Pamjaya and your contribution became the pioneer that provided equal opportunities for water equitability. And as you've mentioned, in 6 years, we need to have an addition of 1 million houses connections. We can do so. We can do so. I believe so. Do you believe so? Yes. Now, your company's plan moving forward also entails the idea, which could help integrate synergy between the central government and local government, reflecting your prime mission, your company's prime mission. Amazing. Now, based on your discoveries, this also means that Indonesia needs to increase the percentage of water distribution within households from 19.47% in 2022 to 25.53% in 2024, as well as the 15% targeted health standard for the citizens' water lifestyle to be reached. And as you have also very well noted, this is so that we can hinder the future of living in waters in stress regions, which was predicted to be projected in 2050. Now, Mr. Untung's amazing presentation and nobility in planning structurally for this upcoming system also instills optimism to foster the two governmental plans that, one, is expanding the drinking water supply system in their regional areas, and second, developing drinking water supply system within the district regency. Thank you so very much, Mr. Untung, for your presentation. So everyone, our audiences here, this is something that we could look forward to, an enchantment of equality awaiting us. Enchantment indeed. Here is a bright glimpse of our 40th anniversary from yours truly, the Jakarta-Post.
Part of the reason I came back for Jakarta-Post's 40th anniversary is because the Jakarta-Post is seminal during Reformasi, right? Like, it was the connective tissue between Indonesians and the rest of the world, because it was in English and because it spoke and it did analysis in a particular way. So now I feel like the 40th anniversary in many ways applauds, it celebrates a past, but it also opens the door to a much more uncertain future.
And the Jakarta-Post has played this great role in the last 40 years. So it's very important to still have sort of critical reflections on the state of the government, the state of democracy.
Jakarta-Post adalah oasis bagi banyak rakyat Indonesia, dan saya berharap usia 40 semakin dewasa dan semakin menjadi harapan bagi bukan saja informasi tapi juga edukasi untuk bisa menjadi warga negara yang lebih baik dan lebih cerdas. Selamat ulang tahun Jakarta-Post.
Welcome back, everyone. Now, before we continue further with our discussion, I would like to add and introduce a new addition to our panel of speakers, the stellar scholar who is a researcher in the Department of International Relations Center for Strategic International Studies, or CSIS. Let us present Mr. Muhammad Habib Abian Zakwan to the stage. Hi, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm great. We really appreciate you traveling here all the way.
That's my honor. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, having attained a master's degree from the School of Advanced International Relations Studies, Johns Hopkins University, Mr. Habib was an awardee of Indonesia's Endowment Fund for Education and LPDP. And prior to pivoting his research focus, his extensive work touched upon subjects ranging from disaster, health, climate-related issues. And having his back to the grindstone, Mr. Habib's opinion pieces and thought-provoking works made their appearance in the Washington Post, South China Morning Post, and Jakarta-Post, among others. How exciting, Mr. Habib.
Yeah, I'm so excited about the topic as well. I think this is very important.
Well, we can't hardly wait to hear about you. You're an expert in this, so whenever you're ready, lead us to light.
Thank you. So I think like for this particular session, I think I would like to make 3 points. I'm not going to use any slide.
Okay.
I'm going to say 3 points. First one is, I think we have heard from all these esteemed panelists that I think the problem of water security in Indonesia somehow is not technical. I think the problem of water security in Indonesia is rather like political.
Right.
You know, somehow we know that bureaucracy, I think, is a bit fragmented to some extent. We know that for sure. And Indonesia is not lacking of expert. Indonesia is not lacking of experience with regards to water and also like water security practices and so on and so forth.
Right.
So I think let's remember about Water Security Vision 2045 that was created by the World Bank and also the government of Indonesia. I think like this is my question. How many of the Indonesian government agencies who were involved in the creation of the document did follow up after like whatever recommendations that have been provided by the Water Security Vision 2045 and also like to the local governments like across Indonesia. I think so that's very basic problem in Indonesia. I think very classical. And when it comes to water security, we also need to understand that we cannot see it as a standalone issue. Yes, water issue about like scarcity, about access, about water pollution, about water-related disasters, so many. But I think we also need to see it like, for example, when it comes to, we aspire to be basically the mineral, critical minerals, downstreaming critical minerals. Definitely we need water for the smelters. When it comes to agriculture, we want to be, for example, the leading country for agricultural products. We need water. So water basically is a responsibility of all ministries, of all local governments. It cannot be, for example, isolated only to several ministries or local governments to some extent. My second point is because this is about political problem, we need to give politicians electoral benefits to care more about water security. Unfortunately, like the problem at the moment, I think domestic constituent in Indonesia doesn't use water security to some extent as a basis for them to select presidential candidates or local leaders. So I think it's very rare to see any domestic constituent raise this issue and then demands the candidates to do more about water security in Indonesia. Yes, I think if I'm not mistaken, 2 weeks ago at CSIS we hosted this debate involving all presidential candidates. I mean, like from the team, from their team about water security and also like environment. But to some extent, I think I'm not really satisfied with the program at the moment. For example, several candidates mentioned about water sovereignty, other candidates talking about water self-sufficiency, the other candidate talking about water management. But we also need to remember, as I mentioned earlier, water cannot be seen as a standalone issue. And also, we need to think about long-term issues such as saltwater intrusion. when talking about climate change, definitely all those regions lying in the coastal areas need to think about this saltwater intrusion, and that has to be taken into account. And not to mention, I really mentioned about earlier critical minerals. Every single candidate talking about downstreaming minerals, but the very critical element about the downstreaming critical minerals, we also need to ensure that water is available for all companies and also like smelters existing. The third point I would like to raise, we need to see water security as a connected issue, like from local up to global. So we really need to have a foreign policy specifically talking about water security. At the moment, we do not have it. And we have our own region, which is up north in the Mekong region, Mekong countries involving like Cambodia, Thailand, Vietnam, Myanmar, and Laos PDR. We haven't really considered, exchanging our experience with Mekong countries to some extent, because I believe like they have best practices, and we also have best practices at home. So very important to have a foreign policy talking about water security. And we also need to remember that I think the current international environment at the moment, all of them talking about environmental, social, and governance standards. So we really have to fulfill. In order to attract foreign direct investment, now we really need to set and also like to implement, to practice ESG standards at the highest level.
Okay.
And at the moment, I think the basic problem is always enforcement. We already have so many regulations about water security. We already have so many standards about water, but the problem is always enforcement. And we cannot just hope for example, private sectors to fulfill, or for example, a society to do more about water protection or water preservation. We also need to invest, basically, and we already have every international environment to support us to do more, such as, for example, the Global Water Security and Sanitation Partnership. And when it comes, for example, another country like the Netherlands also have water sector trust fund. So all carrots we need, the international community has provided us, and it is up to us now, really, to do more and to care more about water security in Indonesia. I'm going to stop right there. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Habib, for such detailed explanation that entails the very foundation of water security being a focal point in bringing our nation harmony for civilization. And as you've mentioned, we should not see this as a standalone problem, but something that we should enforce in order to attract foreign investors, because as you've mentioned, we have all these policies, but the very problem lies into translating words into action. And as expected, your findings and your explanation brings a clear direction. It has encompassed a direction as us as civilians can do contribute to the regional institution to provide the 6.1 SDG, as you've mentioned, ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. Reflecting on your noteworthy points as well, thank you so much. We can also, as Indonesia, as a country of rich natural resources, should take action and ensure the ease in obtaining water in often neglected regions. Because Mr. Habib here has also given us a broader scheme of how different sectors of Indonesia views the subject matter into light, which I'm sure has broadened our hearts to keep an open mind to obtain a higher civilization in Indonesia. Thank you so much once again, Mr. Habib, for your effort, dedication, time, and general broad scheme of this subject into light. Now, I believe our minds have also been revitalized with awareness, hope, and an inspired confidence that our country, Indonesia, is geared to grant safe and affordable water for all by 2030, or perhaps even earlier. Only time can tell. And as you have all deeply remarked here by our special guests, this is the bare minimum of our human rights, to wake up without the worry of our bodies being contaminated by unsanitized water. I would like to express my deepest thanks to our special guests, Mrs. Mika, Mr. Bano, Mr. Untung, and Mr. Habib right here, for warming our afternoon with nothing but light and providing us a reflective seed as a takeaway to bring home. You all have done this wonderful way of reimagining the concept of water and the value of water for Indonesia. from Mrs. Mika's governmental initiative that requires a quadrupling of current rates of progress in safely managed drinking water services, that urges Mr. Banu's mission of piped water access to become the solution to stop water usage from Jakarta sinking. This can also give a circular effect together with Mr. Untung's presentation on increasing investment interest and integration between business entities such as traditional markets, and in tying the ribbon, last but not the least, is Mr. Habib's thorough dissection of understanding water security and key points when tackling challenges by institutions and ourselves that can propel us forward as a water-friendly nation. Now, just before we move on to our final session, as I know our lovely audiences here are beyond thrilled to take the stage, I would like to remind you all once again to please fill in our survey form through the link already attached through the chat box below. Teaser promise, this is how you all will get your official and shiny participation certificate. Now, before we get into this Q&A, hold on to your enthusiasm for a bit, because let's make this lovely memory last and take a group photo. Panelists, if you're ready, can I get a thumbs up and a big smile? Let's go. All right. Yes. Okay. Crew, anytime you're ready. 3, 2, 1. And another one. 3, 2, 1. All right, amazing. Thank you so much, crew. Thank you so much. So how are we all feeling? How are you guys feeling about each other's presentation discussions?
Very enlightening.
Yeah?
It is, yeah.
Yes, it is. And how are you feeling?
Yeah, it's amazing. Being here with the esteemed panelists, I think that's my honor.
Aw, and so is yourself.
Thank you.
Right? We're all here to, shed light on different angles on understanding water security. Now, I believe today and at this moment right now, we're in the most anticipated moment of every Jakpost UpClose webinar. Thank you so much to our enthusiastic audience who have found comfort and curiosity and have sent us brilliant questions for our panelists. We're all so impressed here. We've wrote them all in the Q&A box, and just like yourselves, we cannot wait to hear what our special guests have to say. Panelists, if you're ready and thrilled to reveal our audience's wonderful question, let's give a thumbs up and say, bring it on.
Bring it on.
Bring it on.
Let's go. Now, let's see what we have here. Okay, so the first question I have for now is for Mr. Banu.
Oh, is it running?
Are you ready?
Ready.
So, the question from our lovely audience is, what is the most difficult aspect of achieving water security? And what can we do as ordinary people to preserve water and meet the needs of future generations?
Wow, very nice question. May I know who asked that? You, anonymous. All right. Very good question, and it's a good opportunity for me to be able to explain what needs to be done by the citizens in terms of securing the water supply. Previously it was mentioned that we need the population's awareness in terms of preserving the environment. One most important thing is to be able to not pollute the water. Because that is the source of our drinking water before being treated in the water treatment plants. Right. So I think an active participation from the population, from the citizens in preserving the environment and also maintaining the cleanliness of the water channels and not polluting the water sources would be good enough for everyone to participate in. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your amazing recap and amazing awareness on urging us to think about how this is a basic necessity for us. We cannot live with this, but because it's so much within our necessity in our everyday life, we often neglect the importance and the standard and the state of our waters today. Thank you so much, Mr. Banu. Thank you. Now, moving on, I have a question for Mr. Untung. From our lovely audiences here, they're all so enthusiastic now. The question is, could you explain the company's role in water management, starting from raw water management, water treatment, water transmission, and water distribution? So enthusiastic, yeah.
Yeah. The role. The question, yeah. The role of Pam Jaya in starting from the raw water, that's the part of the value chain of the water management system, water supply management system. Starting from the raw water, the raw water is part of the obligation of the Pam Jaya in Jakarta. So actually, the regulator for the raw water is government. That's why we have to get the admit from the government to get the permit to extract the water, to extract the raw water. And that's I mentioned in my presentation. That's our raw water mostly coming from Jatiluhur and through open canal in Kalimalang, Tarum Barat, and 40% from Tangerang, Banten, and that's actually not raw water but already treated water. The raw water coming from the Cisadane River in the Banten. That's why that Mr. Habib mentioned that this must be in the integrated solution between local government and also the central government. In terms of the production, the role of the Pam Jaya must produce the water with the quality meet the regulation from the Ministry Health. Yeah. In on the regulation and production side, we can cooperate with the private company. But in the Jakarta, we have a cooperation for the 6 water treatment plant with our partner APG, and we still operate 12 water treatment plant operated by Pam Jaya, including the treatment plant in the Thousand Island. And on the distribution, this is must be Pam Jaya operate the distribution, because the water is where the water goes depend on the demand of the demand from the community, and the obligation the Pam Jaya must fulfill all the demand for the community. That's why we have to achieve the target 100% coverage service in 2030, because the water is the basic need for the people. Yeah. That's why the state must be arrived and that's side. In terms of the customer side, and the customer service also must Pam Jaya handle also. I thought this answered the question.
Yes, it really does. Thank you so much. And I think this also reflects what you said earlier in your presentation, which is why to reach 100% by 6 years, we need to reach 1 million more houses connections. And I think your answer for our audience's question also reiterated a reading I did for the governmental plans that, one, we need to expand the drinking water supply system in the regional areas and developing the drinking water supply system within the district regency. So now these two areas, they need to find harmony, they need to find a bridging, as you have mentioned. Thank you so much. I think your answer perfectly encapsulates the question for you, Mr. Habib, from our audience, another enthusiastic audience for today. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. So how does water scarcity and lack of access to clean water impact the health and well-being of Indonesian community?
So thank you for your question, and thank you for anyone who asked this question. I think this is very important, and let me bring back my second point talking about giving politicians electoral benefit when they talk or speak about water security. If we all remember, I think almost all candidates talking about stunting. I think that's a very concrete example. We need not only to support them with the food and also I think like healthy kind of like support or package, but also like clean water. I think like clean water is also another important factor when we want to see our population become healthier, become also like smarter in the future. And I think like we also need to bring this point like to the politicians. So stunting cannot be solved unless we also provide clean water to all parts of our population. So I hope it answers your question.
Thank you so much for your answer. Thank you so much for also reminding us and audiences that water drives the birth of our civilization as early days. And in Indonesia, if we look throughout the history, a lot of our civilization, the highest civilization, they exist near water regions. So this is like a cultural mantra for us all, isn't it? And we gotta trace continuities for that. Thank you so much. Now, this is a perfect thread. This leads to a question for you, last but not the least, Ibu Mika. So our audiences wanted to ask you, why is it an important achievement that Indonesia hosts the World Water Forum next year?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for asking, for the questions, because like we understand, we all understand that water is very important, and then we in Indonesia, they're also facing the same problems with global, in terms of water, whether in the technical, and also in the financing, and also as the institutional, then if we learn the challenges on water, globally, we can see that the similar situations, with different contexts, but similar situations. So we hope that with us being a host, we can provide the platform for global, and and come up with solutions that invite all the ideas, globally for other countries, and definitely inward, we can address also for Indonesian problems, but as well as for international solutions. So it is important for us to be the host of World Water Forum to promote what it is in Indonesia as the reflex or the reflections or the situation for global to know the Indonesian, but also for us to get the idea or the inspirations and also the solution from global. So it is important for us for hosting the World Water Forum in 2024, and to bring up globally the challenges, to identify the challenges as well as the solutions for all in terms of water. That's why the themes is the water for shared prosperity.
All right,
thank you.
Thank you so much, Ibu Mika. So we do not only have to think locally, but we have to think how Indonesia is going to affect globally as well. Thank you so much. And I also really, really salute your stance that this is a basic necessity, it's a basic human right, and it's actually part of the Undang-Undang Dasar 1945 that we need to have a universal access to water, right?
Yes,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, all of our panelists, for being here. Thank you for your time. It's been a wonderful afternoon indeed, has it? Now, this is from myself. I wanted to ask if each and every one of you could have a word of hope for our audiences regarding this topic, what would it be? Starting from you.
Okay, thank you, Karina. Since we understand that this is the basic need, and then we need this sustainably, we need to have the sustainable provision for water supply. That's why we have to concern about the whole system, from A to Z in terms of water sectors. So we have to have the awareness in preserving the water resources, yeah, and then as well as the subsystems, other subsystems, yeah. But then also we have to remind ourselves that we have to be careful, or we have to be use wisely, yes, for what water supply. So, and we have to consider also the next generations. Yeah, that's why we have to start now. We have started today for us to accelerate the coverage. But then that's, in parallel, we also to preserve for the next generations. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And for you, Mr. Banu, a word of hope?
Ibu Mika took all the words from me, as usual.
Are you just going to blame everyone all the time?
But what Ibu Mika said was all of our hopes. And in terms of increasing, again, increasing the connections to all the customers, we also need the awareness from the citizens in terms of hygienity and also environmental ability to sustain the environment. And therefore what we need to do is to preserve, and as Mika also mentioned, because of the water scarcity, we need to be able to use it efficiently.
Yes.
And hopefully that it's not just us who is concerned and involved, but all the population, everyone, including the government, the private sector, PDIMs, and everyone involved in this sector. So that's my word of advice. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Banu. And how about you, Mr. Untung?
Okay, thank you, Karina. In the next 6 years, this is very challenging time to serve the people in Jakarta. We have to construct to light the pipe around 6 until 7,000 kilometers. That's why we apologize to people. Maybe your time and the street and the road will disrupt with our construction. That's why we apologize for that. But all because we have to serve all the people in Jakarta.
Yeah.
And to our existing customer, please use the water with the wisdom. Please, please manage your water because everybody need. That's why when we use together, maybe the supply will leak. That's why please everybody and hope that have a storage. That's why when everybody use together, we already have a storage the water.
Thank you so much. So use water with wisdom. And how about you, Mr. Habib?
I think like we have very right momentum to actually raise about water security.
Great.
We have presidential election next year.
Yes.
And I think like it is the time for us to actually speak more about this water.
Yes.
Water problems in Indonesia. Everyone has the chance to actually like study water-related programs that are offered by these presidential candidates, and also like probably local leaders, and also like legislators probably like they also we also need to bring them to speak more and to talk more and to even like think more about water-related solutions, because our water problems I think are pressing. And I think like we cannot delay the solution of this issue like to the other generation like in the future. We need to act now, and I think like everyone has to do it together. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much again, everyone. Ibu Mika, Pak Banu, Pak Untung, and Pak Habib for your wonderful words of wisdom and your judicious presentations and explanation. It has been such a wonderful afternoon. Thank you. I really enjoyed all of your presence, genuinely. Thank you so much. Now for our audiences here, it has been a wonderful afternoon indeed. And as much as I'd love to be in a room with such influential figures and valuable audiences to have this rejuvenating conversation forever, unfortunately, our delightful journey has reached its end. However, I do know that forever is the warmth this day has brought us all. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our impeccable panelists right here again, who have so generously devoted their time to plant our minds with a driving force to grow and return to our very human essence that water has flourished for us. Our audiences, and myself included, could not have wished for a better panelist, a better time, a better day, and a better afternoon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, we would also like to extend our immense appreciation to today's sponsor, Moya Indonesia, for sponsoring today's talk show. For our fellow audiences online, thank you once again for being here. It means the world to me and everyone. And make sure to check your inbox for your Chinese certification of participation you so deserve. Now, before we close this session, if you allow me, I would like to close our session with a quote I found prior to this talk show, as these panelists here has inspired me to also do a reading about water. This is something I believe should sit with us all. To echo author Margaret Atwood, when you plunge yourself in water, all you feel is a caress. Remember that, my child. Remember you are half water. If you can't go through an obstacle, go around it, because water does, and so will Indonesia. Signing off, this is your host, Karina Dwipayana in Jakarta. Thank you, and I'll see you soon. Have a lovely rest of the afternoon. Bye. Thank you, everyone.